Hello and welcome to Redmen TV. It's Jonathan here with the player ratings. After a frustrating 1-1 draw with Chelsea. Forgive me, I'm a little frustrated after that game, as I said, and still a bit in a red haze after that late equaliser. So I hope I don't be too critical with my player ratings, but here we are, we'll give it a lash. Mignolet in goal. Didn't really have a lot to do. Made a couple of decent saves, particularly in the first half, on the couple of breakaways that Chelsea had. The goal itself, now I see a lot of people are giving him a bit of grief over the goal. Could he done better? I'm by far and away Mignolet's greatest fan in the world. I'm openly said that I think we need an upgrade on him to make that next step through, but I don't blame him from that goal. I think he was set up to protect the cross that was coming in that William meant. And there's not a lot you could do. He could completely got caught in the hop. It's just that horrible moment, and I'm sure he had it like the rest of us had when you see that ball sailing through after the fluke. So I don't really blame him from that, but overall a decent enough game. Didn't really have a hell lot to do. I'll give him a 6. Gomez at right back, I thought he had a very good game. I thought defensively he was quite solid. Particularly in the second half there as well, and there was a couple of last ditch tackles that he got in. I remember especially one in the penalty box there where he just slides through and nicks it away. And I thought he also added a decent attacking threat as well. He was always an option outright because Salah had been tucked in quite a lot. So at times in the first half, especially, he was given a decent option attacking wise, and defensively solid. Didn't really put a foot wrong. I thought he had a very good game. I'll give Gomez a 7. Onto the centre of defence then, the Achilles heel of this Liverpool team. Mapic, decent enough game. He was okay. Didn't really do a hell of a lot wrong. I won't say it's his best game he's had in a Liverpool shirt, but it definitely wasn't his worst. And he got some decent clearances away, a couple of little skirmishes, but by and large, he had a decent solid game, and I'll give him a 6. Clavin, on the other hand, on the other side of defence, I thought was extremely poor. Like when we saw the team sheet with Lovren having to push to step out with an injury, I thought Clavin had a very, very poor game. I thought he panicked. Especially there was one scenario there in the second half where I think he takes 2 complete miss hits at trying to clear the ball away, and was very, very lucky. I think he hits the ball into our defender and it ricochets back, and he was very, very lucky. And I thought he panicked. And I remember even one charge that he made, I think it was Hazard on the first half down the wing. He got tucked out of the wing and he just literally went to bear hug him. Thought he had a poor game. I thought he did exceptionally poor for the Chelsea equaliser as well. I know Henderson lost the ball before it, but he's completely out of position, and it's just typified by the way that Chelsea openly target him in the second half there especially. And I thought he had a very, very poor game, unfortunately, and Clavin gets a 4 for me. Bit rough that one, but I thought he had a very poor game. Moreno, on the other hand, a left back, I thought he had a very, very good game, especially considering it's well documented the little scenario, particularly his second half cameo appearance that he made midweek. And whatever you say, professional footballer or not, that took a lot of balls to get on the pitch there today. Mentally, it would have been so easy just to disappear or fake an injury or something like that. But I thought he was very, very good today, and he seemed to win the ball back a hell of a lot of time. I must dig out the stats properly, but he seemed to win the ball back a hell of a lot. And he was solid in the tackle. There was one maybe in the first half where he gets tucked in too much, but by and large, he was excellent. He read the game well. He's a decent attacking option, like Gomez was on the other side. And even at the end, he's the one that winning the ball back and driving forward. I thought he had a very, very good game. Especially, you have to factor in the whole hysteria midweek, and I don't think you can ignore that. I thought he had an excellent game, and Moreno gets a 7 for me. Onto the middle of the pitch. This was where it was extremely poor for me. I thought anytime Chelsea ran at us, we were brutally exposed, and we just got ran over. Henderson, I'm one of his fans. I'm not one of these guys that just lashes him out of him. There's a lot of people online, especially, that seem to love have a go with him. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to agree with that school of thought today. I thought he was extremely poor. I thought he got ran over in the middle of the pitch. He missed tackles so many times. He got outran. How many times did we see him kind of go in to try and nick the ball away and just get turned, and we saw him on the shoulder chasing back time after time after time after again. And even for the goal as well, he gets caught. That ball should have been cleared, but he gets caught and spun around. And I thought he had an extremely poor game. And it's sad, it's unfortunate, because we needed a big performance from our number 6 today, and unfortunately we didn't get it. And that kind of led to kind of Chelsea coming back into the game, particularly in the second half. There, they really drove at us. And Henderson gets a 5 for me, unfortunately. Milner, not great either. Maybe slightly better than Henderson in the fact that he offered maybe a little better of a attacking option. He joined in, particularly in the first half. He seemed to do that run to the right hand side, and especially when we were doing that full court squeeze, he pushed on a good bit like that. Not great though. Like Henderson, anytime was spun around and they attacked us, he got spun around. He got brutally exposed a lot of times. And it was a game where, in my mind, Genie was shown up for a hell of a lot of better player, and all that work that Genie does off the ball, we missed big time today. This is a toss-up between a 5 and a 6 for me. He was probably a slightly bit better than Henderson, so I'll probably edge towards a 6, but not a great performance. Not a great performance. Coutinho, the other midfield player in the middle of the field, I thought he had a decent game. He got stuck in, particularly in the first half. You saw that. We've seen it in recent weeks where he's getting stuck into tackles. He's putting his foot in a bit more. It was always a threat. He was always trying to get the ball in behind. And even our goal comes from one of his attacking runs. He was always an option going forward. Probably tired a little towards the end, but the game got extremely stretched. I spoke in my match reaction video how maybe we should have made probably should have made a change a little bit earlier rather than the whole roll of the dice with 2 minutes to go or whatever. But Coutinho, by and large, had a very good game. He was always an attacking option. Always looked to get the ball forward, and Coutinho gets a 7 for me. Chamberlain switched roles at half time. Probably a little bit unfortunate from his point of view that I'd say primarily we attacked down the right wing in the first half, especially. Just the way Salah is on such red hot form, and the gaps and the success that he was having down the right wing. But he got into the game quite well. He switched to the right then in the second half, and you could certainly see that he looked a hell of a lot more comfortable on the right hand side. Always a threat going forward. Put a graft in, was come back. Was also a defensive option as well. Never left Gomez exposed. I thought he had a very good game, and you cannot draw a line under how good he did to win the ball back and get that flick on towards Salah for the goal. It always reminded me of almost kind of that Balotelli moment for City to Aguero. He just got that important nick, and he was strong, he was aggressive, just the composure just to flick it on then. I thought he had a very good game, and he's quietly grown into his role at Liverpool. And it's interesting to note all the hysteria and all the other screaming and shouting from fans of other teams has just completely gone quiet now. There's no talk anymore about his fee or whatever. He's settling into Liverpool life, and I thought he had another very good game. I'll give him a 7. Sturridge, I don't know. I had reservations when I saw him on the team sheet, and I heard the team going around this morning. Probably felt a little bad for him in a way that the system that we played, he's almost at time. I know it's a 3, but you have the 2 guys either side, and almost he was 1 player versus 3/5 people. He's totally outnumbered. He did try. I couldn't fault his work rate. He tried to press when he could. He had 1 half chance in the second half where maybe if I'd been super critical, he probably could have got it away a little earlier. He had that one there where Courtois kind of scrambled the ball across the goal after he kind of mishit it across. Hard for him today. Wasn't really effective, but to be fair to him, it's hard for him to be effective in that system. And I felt a little bad for him. He gets a 6 for me. And that leads on to, what can we say, Momo. Doing these player ratings, you just kind of, it's almost like you could just edit and copy and paste what I say in every game about Salah. Our most important player, our shining light, our go-to guy. I'm running out of words to To describe him, just how effective he is to our system, he gets the goal again today. He's a constant threat from the word off. You know, Chelsea were very, very physical with him. He was also threat, and he showed another kind of a notch to his bow in the second half there, where he played primarily as a striker, and you know, towards the end where we sat back, you know, when we were trying to hold on to that lead, when we went with kind of a 5 midfield, he was just hanging on the last defender, you know, playing as that out and out striker. And probably, I think that's where he's probably going to end up primarily as an out and out. I know he can venture in from the right, but I think the way Klopp is going with him, he's eventually going to end up as a pretty much an out and out striker, just because of that raw pace that he has. Another brilliant game, you know, the goal again. What can you say? Like he's scoring for fun. What an absolute belter of a signing, and it's interesting to know a lot of people were saying afterwards, you know, the fact that he didn't celebrate was you know, out of respect to Chelsea's former club. From what I'm reading online, I don't believe that's the case. I think that's just a reaction and showing his regards to the awful terrorist attack that happened in Egypt there recently over the weekend. So, you know, a credit to him for that as well. But, you know, and judging his footballing performance, this is a player ratings show. He's just been excellent again today. And, you know, what can we say? Absolute belter of a signing. I'm running out of words. It's Groundhog Day and repeating myself. Our best player, man of the match. Wrap him up in cotton wool, folks, because I dread to think what it's like without Salah. Salah gets an 8 for me and man of the match. The substitutes, of all the ones that come on, probably Genie had the most time. He was quietly effective. It's hard to rate him. You know, I thought he did a decent job. Manny didn't have enough time to really do anything. You could almost see a little argument with him afterwards. He was kind of a little cheesed off. I'm not sure, was that in fact that kind of Klopp pulled him from the cold and pretty much said, you're on there after the Chelsea equaliser. Can't really rate him. And then Lallana, I just want to give him a shout out. Great to see him back on the pitch again, even if he is wearing an Alice band. You know, Adam, throw out your hair, mate. But there you are, folks. That's my player ratings. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to the Redmen TV, and we'll talk to you all very soon. Up the Reds.